Yo guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. I just saw Venom: The Last Dance, the third and probably final installment in the Venom trilogy. Venom: The Last Dance is written and directed by Kelly Marcel, starring Tom Hardy, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Juno Temple, and a couple other names you've probably heard of. This is a film that I've sort of been looking forward to because I did enjoy the first two films far more than I anticipated that I would. And with that, I had sort of high hopes, but the way that the Sony superhero films, particularly the Spider-Man related films, have been trending lately, I wasn't so sure. Films like Morbius, and I am drawing a blank on the atrocity that is the Dakota Johnson film. I know what it is, but I don't even want to speak the name because it's so bad. Those films were really, really bad, and with that, I was unsure of what to expect with this. I was hoping that Tom Hardy would show up and perform significantly better than what others had done in this overall franchise, this cinematic universe. And he pulls his own. He carries his own weight. He does what he needs to do in order to be successful in this film. I had a conversation earlier today where he portrays Eddie Brock in a way that he almost appears to be on the spectrum, which is fine, but they never really allude to that, and they never give you any reason other than his cadence, really, as to how or why he, if he is in fact on the spectrum. It just seems like a really odd choice in developing this character, but whatever. I find that it works. It has worked in the past, and I enjoyed it again in this one. He did sort of veer from that a tad in this film, though, and we got a slightly more serious side from time to time in Venom: The Last Dance. Which is interesting because Venom: The Last Dance tries to be really funny, and there are moments that are funny, but the film's just sort of silly. They sort of extend it extends beyond just your basic humor, your superhero humor, and it becomes this really silly, almost joke of a film from time to time. And there's really a handful of times in which that happens, and it steals from the intensity that I think is meant to be developed throughout the entirety of this film. So for those of you that know or don't know, Null is the big bad in this. Null is the king of the symbiotes, and he is attempting to escape from his hellish prison. In order to do that, he needs to obtain this codex from the combination of Venom and Eddie Brock. It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be very intense and serious, and we veer from that so much. We lose that intensity because of the silliness that just occurs far too often. And with that, I don't know if this film works. I know that that's just one part of it, and I know that the narrative is one part of it, and there's many other aspects of this film, but the narrative comes first and foremost. And I feel like the intensity that we needed just is lost from the early going, and it's not really regained or reestablished until the closing moments. The final 10 minutes of this film are phenomenal and very emotionally heavy, and I think that they work so well, but to juxtapose what is really a very silly film for nearly 2 hours, it doesn't do enough to really reel me in and keep me invested in these characters. Again, I love the final 10 minutes, and I think that works very, very well. I don't know where we're headed from here. There is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene that sort of hint at the direction that we're headed. But with this meant to be the final film in this Venom trilogy, I'm not sure where we're headed. I don't know if this somehow manages to become incorporated into the MCU and Spider-Man becomes involved and somehow Venom is incorporated into the greater MCU. I don't know. I'm speculating and talking about things that I've heard on TikTok, which, are from people that have a really deep knowledge and understanding of the MCU and of Marvel comic lore. And I think that their ideas are very valid and very possible. But I don't know. Things can change 15,000 times between now and when Venom ever appears on screen again, if he ever does. So, again, my biggest gripe with this film is that it's too silly. I think the acting is fine. I think that they just took advantage of way too many silly opportunities, and beyond that, things are way too coincidental in driving this film forward. Characters show up out of the blue. Really coincidental things happen that drive the plot, and seem to serve no purpose other than to just drive Eddie from one place to the next. I didn't love that. I think this is the worst of the three films in the trilogy. I remember liking the first Venom better than Venom Let There Be Carnage. But when I went back to check my ratings, I realized that I rated Venom an 8 and Let There Be Carnage an 8.5. And I'm second guessing my thoughts on that. But this is by far the worst of the three films. It doesn't really hold a lot of weight until, again, those closing minutes. And I'm going to give this film a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's an essential watch if you've seen the first two, if you like superhero films, if you like Venom, if you like the idea of it potentially crossing over and becoming part of the greater MCU. So go watch this. Don't go to the theaters if you're not super excited for it. If you're a huge Marvel fan at this point, like I am, the Marvel film fan, go to the theaters and watch it. Spend a little bit of money and some time. It's not a super long film. It's just under 2 hours. And it's fun. There are certainly some fun moments, but I don't think that it holds the weight that it needs to, and I don't think that it has the gravitas that it needed to possess in order to be truly successful and an effective conclusion to this trilogy. So, until next time, peace.